Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Kimberly Perot. On today's show, I show you how to make Christmas Crackle. I also had a conversation with the TV bookers about technology and much more. But if you're looking for something fun to do, the Silly Holiday Bazaar is an indoor winter market. It features over 80 artists and local businesses where you can get all of your holiday shopping done. It's at the Park City Doubletree Yarrow Hotel starting at 10 a.m. and entry is free. But before you get started, let's take a look at today's forecast.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to the show. Now, if you're looking for something delicious to share with friends and family as a unique homemade gift, I'll show you how to make Christmas Crackle in this next segment. Let's take a look. Welcome back. We're in our favorite place. Well, I guess my favorite place, the kitchen, and I love it.
I'm pretty partial to the kitchen too, I gotta say.
I know, you're a bread aficionado.
I love to bake, I love to cook in general,
You really
and
do.
it's always fun when you show me these new crafts and these new little treats.
Excellent. Well, let me tell you. So today we are making what is known as Christmas Crackle. Typically, it's made with saltine crackers as the base, but we're actually going to do something a little bit different and use the pretzel crisp because it actually makes it it gives you more dynamic and more texture. Plus, you've got the delicious saltiness from the pretzels. So to tell you about today's ingredients, you need pretzel crisps, chocolate chips. We're making it 3 different ways. So we'll do pretzel crisps, chocolate chips, peppermint, and then brown sugar and butter. And really, that's it. It's super simple. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a tray with, you want to make sure that you have a baking tray that has edges because it gets a little bit messy. But Ben, if you wouldn't mind just finishing lining the tray with all of the pretzel crisps. So we're doing the first way with just caramel. And then the second ways will be covered in chocolate. So with the caramel pieces, I would suggest doing whole pretzels, but everything else you can just kind of throw on whatever the remaining pieces are because it's going to be delicious. But we've got our pot heated up here. It takes 2 sticks of butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these 2 sticks of butter into the pot here. Who doesn't love butter when it comes to holiday treats?
You know,
Butter,
that's one of the best
carbs.
things about the holidays is that for a month or so, you can just let that diet go right out the window.
We're on that Santa Claus diet. But yeah, we're just in basically what you're going to do is you're going to get all the butter in here. You want to make sure that gets nice and melted. And you don't want it to be too hot. So putting that in there, we're making sure that it's on a nice medium heat.
You want to keep the butter from boiling,
You want to keep the butter from boiling initially. So then we're going to pour in 1 cup of packed brown sugar. So that is in there. And then you just kind of start whisking it all together. And this is how you make a nice, delicious caramel. Obviously, we're not making the individual chews, but we're making a kind of a caramel sauce. But that brown sugar, you get that butter melting, you get the brown sugar melting, and you just kind of keep it going. So what I love, and Ben, you're doing a great job here, but what you want to do is with all of these pretzels, just have them touching or slightly overlapping. It's not, they don't have to be perfectly packed in there, but it really just kind of encompasses all of the caramel sauce that we're going to be pouring over it
And
here
if they're
in a
not
second.
overlapped right, those different pieces of candy can kind of solidify together and then it doesn't come out nice and individual. It turns into one big sheet.
Exactly. And we do want some of them to be individual, like for the pieces that are going to be just the caramel topping, because then it's a nice, pretty presentation. But you know what I love about this? One, it's great to have on hand. You know, just adding it to the cookie jar, really. But also, they really make great gifts. And, if you've got teachers that you want to give gifts for, this is a fun way to kind of, I wouldn't say have your kids help because it is a lot of heat in the kitchen, but they may be able to help at the end when you get to break
they could
it all up.
definitely put all of the
They could
pretzels
cut
out
up the
on the
pretzels,
tray.
absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
pretty good at doing the kids' jobs.
They can help with the toppings, all of that fun stuff. But I know, Ben, the holidays are really big for you and your family. So
They really are. My family, we tend to get just really into the holiday spirit and really enjoy getting together with each other. And one of the big things that has always been part of our family's holiday tradition is a lot of these types of crafts. And one thing my mom always did, every year, she would make these giant batches of caramels that she would then give out to everybody. I mean, family, friends, teachers, relatives, coworkers. She even gives that out to some of her favorite students or some of the kids that she's, mentoring in her job as a professor. And so it's just an awesome, awesome holiday gift. And she's really gotten pretty good at it.
I need to meet Ben's mom and get some of those gifts that she's giving. But yeah, this looks great. So you've got the whole tray lined, and then we've got a couple of different topping options. So we're doing just the plain caramel, which we've already talked about. And then we're gonna do some with chocolate and sea salt. So this is kosher salt, and then obviously delicious chocolate. I like to use a semi-sweet. You can do a milk chocolate if you want a little bit more of a sweet flavor to contrast that saltiness. And then we're also gonna do chocolate with peppermint. The peppermint piece is probably one of my favorites. So you can take a candy cane or just individual peppermints, you just smash it up in the kitchen to get it that nice flakiness. But we're getting close here. So there's kind of a trick to this. Once it's kind of melted down, as you can see, the butter and the sugar are not fully melded together quite yet. It's gonna start bubbling once it gets in there. Once it starts bubbling, you have to keep stirring for an additional 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
So once you do that, as you can see here, we're getting it going. We're almost to that bubble piece. And then one of my favorite things is using technology in the kitchen. So Ben, once we get the bubbles going, I'm gonna ask you to start timing. And it looks like it's about to start happening here. So you wanna make sure that it's bubbling in the center. It's bubbling around the edges, and I don't know if you can see that, but these bubbles are coming up here. So once they start bubbling, immediately start the timer for 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
So I would say we could probably go ahead and do it. The bubbles are starting to roll in there. And the reason you want to make sure that you kind of start the timer, you're going to be stirring it consistently for 3 minutes. So we're going to go ahead.
Timer is started.
3
minutes.
And we're just going to keep stirring it because you want to make sure that you don't burn the sugar or burn the butter, because the last thing you want is burned caramel. It doesn't. That's one of the things that I always struggle with is how do you pronounce caramel? I say caramel depending on my mood.
I've almost always said caramel, just caramel.
It's like that tomato thing. But yeah, these pretzel crisps look great. You can see it's starting to kind of solidify and come together, and we're just going to keep on stirring.
See that color starting to change too, to get that nice, rich, light brown.
You can smell it. You can smell the richness of it. And
smells
this is just
awesome.
so simple. Who would have thought making caramel or caramel is just butter and sugar and stirring it in the pot here?
One of the things my mom always adds to it is she always adds sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of her recipe that she seems to. Of course, since we're putting it on pretzels, it doesn't need to be perfectly smooth,
that beautiful,
and
opaque,
stretchy, but
silky brown color.
Exactly, but
delicious.
it definitely can be one of the big factors in it. Is just a little bit of extra sweetened condensed milk can help everything come together a little bit.
Exactly.
But
now,
that makes things way more challenging because the sweetened condensed milk burns so much.
So you really have to make sure you've got the right temperature. So as you can see here, it's really starting to solidify, and the bubbles are happening. We've got about another minute and a half left. So you just want to keep stirring it, and it's going to thicken up as you continue to stir it. But one of the things as we're doing this, the next trick will be to pop all of this into the oven. So we have the oven set at 375 degrees. So we preheated that. You want to make sure that it is exactly right. And then another trick, I learned this the hard way the first time I made it. You want to make sure that you have a cookie sheet with edges. Edges are key here because while it's in the oven and it's continuing to heat up, the caramel actually expands. The first time I made this, the pretzels rolled off the side of my oven and my oven smelled like burnt sugar. There are worse things your oven can smell like.
There are worse things that your oven can smell like, but there are not a whole lot of things that are harder to clean out of your
Very
oven.
true. I think I'm going to have to hire a professional for that. But anyways, once we pour it on here, it'll just be really delicious. It'll just kind of all be hanging out and, melting into that flavor.
But we do have another step too, right? While everything's in the oven, we need to melt the chocolate and get that ready. So
Yep.
when everything comes out, it's nice and warm, and
Yep.
that way things don't clump and stick together.
Yeah.
So how would we go about melting the chocolate?
So I'll share that trick and secret with you here in a second. But basically, we are coming up 18 seconds left. You can see the consistency. It's almost like a cloud. And it's just really, really fluffy and light. You can tell that it's starting to turn into a little bit more of a solid caramel
5,
flavor.
4,
Counting down, 3, 2, 1. Now here is the fun part. We're gonna make sure that you turn off your burner before you do this. But the next part, we're literally just pouring it all over this, and it will expand in the oven, I promise. So if you feel like you've missed a piece, don't worry about it. We're just gonna dump
And the
it.
more evenly spread you've got everything, the easier it's going to be too, to just kind of dump it all over without creating a lot of pockets or dead spots or anything, which
We've got a few of, but that's okay.
hopefully I did okay.
That's okay. We'll have some because as it's cooking in the oven, it'll literally just expand, so we don't even have to worry about it. So we're popping that in the oven there. Then we've got one more pot here, and the next piece is going to be to just stir our chocolate and to melt it. So you want to keep it in the oven for about 5 minutes.
5
So we got
minutes?
5 minutes here. We're going to try to hopefully get through this fairly quickly, but the next piece will be semi-sweet chocolate. So we're going to heat up the pot first. We want to make sure it's nice and heated. And then we're going to just stir it on a low heat.
Now, for doing something with sea salt and caramel,
Yep, mhm.
semi-sweet is really ideal, right? Because if you do end up with,
That would be my preference, but
I mean, other people do have different preferences, but I've also found that like milk chocolate doesn't tend to mix very well with
It
the sea
doesn't.
salt.
And you know what's
It just seems
interesting?
too sweet.
If you're going with two different kinds of chocolate, if you are doing a white chocolate, I would suggest doing a double burner or doing it in the microwave and 10-second like sprints, I guess you could call it, because the white chocolate is actually a little bit more of a sensitive kind of chocolate. So we've got regular chocolate. It's okay to just go ahead and burn it straight onto the pot. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna pour it in here. I'm just gonna let it, we're gonna use all of it because who doesn't like a lot of chocolate, you know?
Well, and you don't need to add anything to it, right?
You don't.
Like,
You don't need to. If you do feel like it's starting to harden a little bit or whatever, you can add a little bit of water, a little bit of coconut oil is a good one to add to it, or if you need to, a little bit of milk. But
Or if you have just a little bit of butter lying around left over from the caramel.
exactly. Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't. But
Hopefully not.
as you can see, these chocolates are starting to melt. So we're just going to make sure that we're keeping it stirred. If we need to add some water to it, we can. We've got a little bit here ready to go just in case. Christmas Crackle, and I'm telling
Christmas
you,
Crackle.
these flavors, I love the contrasting flavors of salt and sweet. It's
I
one
gotta
of my
say,
favorite
I did not
things.
have enough food when I came in this morning, so all of these candies is just making my mouth water.
You know, holiday candy, in my opinion, it doesn't count for breakfast. You can eat it anytime you want to because we are in the middle of the Christmas season.
You know, and speaking of like just breakfast, one of the funniest things, you know, my mom was always so into baked goods and creating different crafts and snacks. And my entire childhood growing up, she was a firm believer that chocolate chip and oatmeal cookies is a breakfast food.
I agree.
It's got
Oatmeal and
all
chocolate
of the
chips.
same, ingredients as, you know, pancakes.
Exactly, it's perfect. But we've got much more. We're going to show you the rest of it towards the later part of our show, and I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss the finished piece of it. It is delicious.
Gonna be amazing.
It is. We'll be right back after this. So we made the Christmas crackle so far. We popped it into the oven. We've got the caramel kind of melting into it. But what we're going to do is we're melting some chocolate here, but in the essence of time, we're actually just going to pop it right back into the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some of this chocolate all over 2/3, I'd say, because we're making it two different ways. We're doing chocolate on 2/3 of it. So you're just going to go ahead and pop it on there.
And you were right, it really did expand to fill the entire
It
dish
did,
there in the
yeah.
oven.
It really did.
And hopefully we'll get a little bit more meltiness out of the chocolate, and it'll kind of relax over all of our pretzels here.
Exactly.
And do a little bit more spreading out so we don't have to quite mash
Will
it
you
all
grab
down.
the
Oven
mitt?
mitt?
Yeah, oven mitt. Here we go. All right, we're popping this into the oven really quickly, just for a quick minute, so that the chocolate continues to melt. All right, while we do that though, I would want to go ahead and actually show you what it'll really look like, because it is just so delightful. I love packing it in this fun little Christmas tin, and you can use the tissue paper just to make it really pretty. So Ben, Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you so much, Kim.
And then we'll open it up. We've got it two ways. So you've got the caramel, and then you've got the chocolate with the sea salt. If you look there, you can kind of see it. It's just quite delicious. As you look, it looks just absolutely yummy. So Ben,
That's awesome.
which one do you want to try, chocolate or caramel?
I think I'm gonna go for the chocolate and sea salt one.
All right, well, caramel.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers. And we'll be right back after a short break.
In this next segment, I have a conversation with the CEO and founder of The TV Bookers. We talk all things broadcasting technology and much more. Now, welcome back to the show. Our next guest we interact with on a regular basis, but not in front of the camera. So joining me today is the CEO and founder of The TV Bookers, Dominic Forth. Dominic, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Great to have you on the show. Normally, we're interacting with you from an email perspective and getting all of the people that you work with out there in front of the camera. So tell me about the TV Bookers and what you do.
Yeah, so we're really a social impact agency. We're trying to give a voice to entrepreneurs, business leaders, thought leaders, anyone that really wants to make good in the community or the wider world. And the way we do this is really connecting them with great programming like yourselves, where just finding opportunities, to talk about the social impact that they're making and potential, differences from there.
Wonderful. You really do have such an incredible range of people that you work with. So you mentioned entrepreneurs, CEOs, and you're connecting them with an audience. So, there's been a lot of change in the industry. What are you seeing from the people you represent to the audience, to the networks? What's happening in the industry right now?
Yeah, 2023 has been a fascinating year because there's been a lot of false starts in terms of technology in some cases, and ATSC 3.0 is probably the biggest conversation I'm seeing right now, where for many years we've had the ATSC 1 standard, and we even skipped over the second generation because we saw the potential for a 4K broadcast. Mm-hmm. And by this year, the goal was to really just broaden that technology. But when you have something that's voluntary, where there's a lot of different players all trying to work together to come up with a standard, there are naturally going to be delays. And so as we approach the end of the year, quite often it looks from the outside looking in that the technology hasn't progressed. But in reality, we have markets now like New York that now has this advanced broadcast capability. And so to talk about the difference, in the past, ATSC 1 built on what most people will remember was NTSC before that. And so NTSC was where, we in the 1950s, the US standard was applying color to black and white pictures. And then in 1996, we went to ATSC 1, which was making an analog signal digital, and then HD signals and, 1080 resolution. What ATSC 3 is going to do is add 4K resolution plus much improved audio and then interactive capabilities as well. So it truly is going to be groundbreaking. It's not here yet throughout the US, but numbers are showing that over 10 million set-top boxes have now been activated. So that's still a very large number, and that number is only going to grow as we go into next year.
Well, thank you for breaking that down. I know our viewers would be very interested to learn further about it. Now, could you explain a bit about what 4K would mean to the viewer?
Yeah, it's really about improved picture quality, but the frequency that they're using also adds enhanced capabilities. So you can have a more customized broadcast. So weather is the one that immediately comes to mind to me, where you can have a personalized weather forecast and also personalized content as well. Now, that does cause some privacy concerns for some people, which they can opt out in the same way you can opt out of on a website with cookies and things like that. But ultimately, what I'm most excited about is just the quality of the broadcast and really how this is going to continue the importance of local broadcasts, because local programming is so important to the community. And you think about civic engagement, community engagement, a lot of that is galvanized by local news coverage. And so having over-the-air coverage more accessible in the long term and having a commitment to a gold standard, I think will really be impactful, because local news is just so important. Local programming is so important. And seeing everyone committing to the future, I think, is very exciting.
Well, I think that's exactly right. We are a local programming here, and so we really love being involved with our community as well. And now you mentioned the technology, and as an average user, for somebody who is just watching the program, they think of upgraded technology from a television perspective, or the type of device that they're watching their programming on. I love that you've explained a bit more on behind the scenes and the kind of technology that is happening to get the broadcast to us. Now, what kind of trends are you seeing for 2024?
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. It's very easy just to go to an electronics store, buy a TV, plug it in, and you don't think anything more about it. And I often feel the engineers are the unsung heroes behind the scenes, because there's a tremendous effort going on behind the scenes to make this all happen. And in terms of electronics, the same is true. Next month will be the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and we're going to see some incredible developments. So the key developments often with television is all about how white they can get the picture on one extreme and how dark they can get it on the other, so the contrast. And there's some incredible technology that's out right now that's going to be leveled up even further. And the jargon can sometimes get confusing. You have, QLED from Samsung, where they're adding quantum dots in between the LED and the picture to make the image brighter, for example. That's been out for some time now, but we're going to see next-gen sets for that. You've got organic LEDs, where they use carbon and organic materials to help improve picture quality. And then you've even got phosphorescent technology as well. So a lot of TVs are currently fluorescent technology. This can be phosphorescent technology as well. So there's a lot going on. Ultimately, for the end user, though, I wouldn't get too bogged down by that. I think the best thing you can do when you're looking for a TV set is just go to the review site, find a price point you're comfortable with, and determine what's the best picture quality for the price for me. And don't get too carried away, because we could spend hours talking about the specifics of each technology and the pros and cons.
It's true. There are so many terms and technology. I'm not one to pay attention to all of the specific details. I'm looking at the picture size, the size of my picture, and also the quality of it. And I love that there is an organic technology piece. So that's really exciting stuff. So Dominic, where can we go for more information to learn all about what you do and about technology? You mentioned a website and looking up reviews. So where can we find out all the things that we need to know?
Yeah, so in terms of technology, I think going to the manufacturers' websites are always good. I mean, Samsung continue to be a leader, LG continue to be a leader. Even just tapping into your local hardware store. I mean, Best Buy, obviously, and Amazon, two great review sites as well. In terms of social impact and, trying to make a difference in the local community, which is what we do at the TV Bookers, you can find us online at thetvbookers.com. And always happy to work with people who are looking to get the story out, looking to make a difference, particularly in healthcare and in education, and also innovation as well. So again, the TV Bookers is our main site, and I'm happy to help promote causes for positive social impact.
Absolutely, and you connect change makers with the community. I love that motto. So we appreciate you, Dominic. Thank you so much for coming on and being in front of the camera this time. And we loved hearing all that you have to say about technology and the upcoming trends in the next year. It's really, really interesting information.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Now stay tuned. We'll be right back with more right after this.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
So it is the holiday season, which means you're probably decorating your house or looking for fun things to do while the kids are out of school. And Ben, I know you grew up crafting because your mom is an aficionado of crafts.
Certainly did. It was one of the biggest things that we did in my house during the holidays was just a whole bunch of different types of crafts. But I think you've got a new one for us?
I do, but before we get into that, do you have a childhood favorite? What was your favorite craft to make?
I think the favorite one that we made as a kid were we would make kits of stick horses.
Okay.
So with wooden dowels, we would use some of those classic, Heinz socks with just the sock puppet socks.
And then you just tie them with some string. I used to make ornaments with my grandma and my cousins every year. But we are going to show you a fun and easy way to make paper bag snowflakes. These are gorgeous decorations. Plus you can keep them up through the winter season because they're snowflakes. They're not necessarily Santa or reindeer or bright lights.
Well, and especially around here, when we've got the Christmas lights up all year round, we've got the decorations around all year. It's a great addition to the house.
It really is. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what you want to do is you can use brown bags or white. We chose white today because
Snowflakes.
Easy, duh. So we're going to go ahead and we each are going to get 8 paper bags. Sure. So we're going to go ahead and separate those out. But what's really great about this, outside of the paper bags, you can do fun concepts. You would need a glue stick or a hot glue gun. So while our hot glue heats up, we're counting out our bags here. And you're basically going to stack them all together with some glue. And then we're just going to cut out some fun shapes here.
Do I actually have 8 here? I do not. There's 8.
All right. 1, 2. So we're just counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect.
All right. Now I've got 8 as well.
So what's great is that this is a cheap and easy and fun holiday craft. If you've got kids, this is a great way to sit around the table and just kind of,
And with so few supplies too, it's something that you can do in your hotel room. It's something that you can get the kids occupied in and engaged in when you're here on vacation too. Don't need a whole lot of setup or preparation. And
you don't really have to plan anything out either. That's the fun part. So, assuming our glue gun is hot, we're going to go ahead and what you're basically going to do is you're going to take your paper bag and you want to make sure that this side is down. So the little flap is down. That's your base. You're just going to put some dots. We'll see if this works here. Just a couple dots along the seam of your paper bag. Go ahead and do that. I'll give that to you if you want to stack the next one and just stack them on top.
Just stack them on top with the base put down.
The base down, yep.
Gotcha.
So we'll do the next one. I'll just kind of alternate. Since I'm on the side of the glue gun, I'll take the next one. And so we've got 2 so far here. 2, 3, 4, 5. You just want to give about 5 of them, 5 little dots, just to stick them together. They'll hold longer that way.
Trying to keep everything symmetrical?
Everything symmetrical. You want to make it nice and perfect. So we've got a few there, and then we'll move on to the next one. And you just kind of keep stacking them until all 8 are glued together. So we'll make this quick here. We'll make 2 snowflakes if we've got time for it. If not,
Oh no!
that's okay. You can just pull it off really quickly and flip it over. There we go. And then basically you've kind of got glue on the other side already. So we'll go ahead and stick that one. We'll put a couple dots right there.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of working with hot glue.
Right.
Except it's hot, so
Doesn't melt right away
it
or
doesn't,
stick right
doesn't
away.
dry right away. You want to make sure that, your little hands, you keep them off. So if you are a mom and you're doing this with a 2 or 3-year-old, you may want to be the one putting the glue onto, onto the paper bags here. But you can use a glue stick, you can use just Elmer's glue, like whatever it is. And you just kind of keep putting the dots there. Looks like we might need another glue stick,
Gotcha,
which is
right
great
here.
because these are only about $1.50 at Walmart to buy a pack of 10. So really cheap, easy craft. Made it. Look at that. There we go. Teamwork makes the dream work. So yeah, you just kind of keep doing that until you've got all 8 stacked. Awesome. We're moving on to the next one.
What's our next step there?
So the next step will be, once these are all glued together, you're just going to take your scissors, and you've got a pair of scissors, so we'll let you work on this one.
Gotcha.
And I'll get started on the next one. And you just kind of cut your shapes however you want to. You don't really have to plan anything. That's the beauty of this arts and craft. And it's like real snowflakes. Sometimes I like to catch them on my glove when you're on the chairlift, and you can see all of the detail and all the intricacies of.
I think that's 8.
That looks great. Awesome. No, well, we're adding one more because I put the glue on. So what you're going to do now, Ben, is I'll let you have this stack. So you're going to cut symmetrically on both sides. And just
kind of cutting in.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're cutting not where the bag stacks, but you want to cut like above it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep, and then symmetrically cut the different shapes. And
Don't cut any of
the folded
the
part,
base.
as you can see. You don't want to cut that
Gotcha.
part. So you're going to cut right where the seam is. There's a little bit of a seam, and you want to make sure that you cut there.
Ooh, let's see if my scissors can do it.
If not, I've got a second pair over here.
Let me see about here.
There we go.
See if these might work.
Hair
just a
cutting scissors, always
little
good to have them on hand. They're usually a lot sharper.
They usually are.
But you just kind of stack them together, and I'll make a mini one just to demonstrate a little bit more while you cut that. But when you do the 8 of them, it's nice and big and full. So we're going to keep this shape very simple. I've got 1, 2, 3.
Do I want to avoid cutting across the middle line?
You do. You really do. So you don't even have to make them deep cuts. That's the cool part, because once we fan these open, the design is going to be so cool, and we cannot wait to see it. So I'm doing a mini one just to show you kind of what that would look like and what your cuts would look like. So triangles are good. You can just do a nice like little triangle here. And just pull that out if you want to. All right. We'll show you at the end of the show what these will look like. But what's fun about it is you can decorate them. You can put like glitter on them. We've got like tacky spray paint.
Ooh.
So you can spray it and then decorate it with glitter. It makes it a little bit cleaner, but that's why we have paper here. So if we do put glitter on it, you're not throwing it all over the place, but everybody loves the glitter.
Don't end up getting glitter all over everything like the dog.
Exactly. But stay tuned. Ben and I will finish our... In the first hour, Ben and I crafted snowflakes out of paper bags. You're probably going, how in the world does that actually work?
You did a much better job than I did.
It is what it is. I am a resident crafter in regard to paper bag snowflakes. But basically, we took 8 paper bags and glued them together with hot glue. We still have our hot glue here. But what you're going to do is you're going to slide your hand into the inside of the 2 outside paper bags, and you're just going to open it just like that. We get this gorgeous, beautiful snowflake. Now, here's the trick. You've got to hot glue them together, and that's going to be the fun part.
All right, you want me to hold that one for you?
Just kind of hold it right there, or if you just want, yep, there you go. We're just going to hot glue. So as I stick the glue there, stick them together. So start pushing them together there. Yep, and you're just going to kind of do this. Just like that, and you just kind of stick it all together. So you grab the edges and stick it all together just like that. And look at that. We've got a gorgeous, beautiful snowflake. Now, here's the fun part. I like this one. I'm about to make a mess all over the studio. We're just going to lay it flat, and then I've got some sticky adhesive. You're going to shake it up. Ben's like, let me get out of the way here. Shake it up, and then you're just going to spray a little bit on it here, just like that. And the beauty of this is that it's a snowflake, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. But this is really sticky. You hold about 8 to 12 inches away, and we're just going to go ahead. I'm a big glitter girl. You're just going to sprinkle it on just like that. And the best part is you make sure they have newspaper down to catch all the glitter. And we've got a bunch of it. And it really doesn't matter, what it looks like, because snowflakes are unique and individual in their own way.
It really came together a lot different than I was expecting, and it's huge, which
That's
is
the
just
best part.
awesome.
And just shake off the excess glitter. There we go.
Of course, yours looks quite a bit better.
You know what though?
Than mine.
I wouldn't worry about it, because what's unique about it all is that I will say it. He cut well, but are you kidding? Look at that. It's still gorgeous. And that's the best part of snowflakes. But welcome back. If you're looking for something for your children that is not necessarily a toy, but is fun and interactive, Gretchen had a conversation with the author of Wow in the World, an excellent children's book.
Welcome back to this show. I am very excited about this interview. Mindy Thomas and Guy Raz, best-selling authors, I should say, A Galactic Guide to the Universe and Beyond. I cannot wait to talk to the both of you. How are you doing?
Good morning, Gretchen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry to cut you off. Good morning. I am so excited to talk to you. Checking out this book a little bit ago, and it is beautiful. I love the colors. I love that it teaches you something and that it's so much fun to read. How did you guys get this idea?
So this is actually the third book in our Wow in the World series. We also have a fact book and an activity book, but I think for this, for Wow in Space, we wanted to touch on something that interests kids when it comes to science. Our first book was The How and Wow of the Human Body. Our second book was all about animals, Wow in the Wild. And this time we wanted to go out of the world and explore the universe. And it's so fascinating. There's so many fun things for kids to learn about, and we want to present it in a really fun way.
I love that. And I heard that you two have done a podcast together, and it's very, very well known. And these Wow books have become amazing, and people are so into it. How did you guys meet, first of all?
We met, I was a fan of Mindy's show on Sirius XM that she used to do.
Okay.
And we decided that both of us love children's education and making education fun for kids. So we decided to start a podcast 7 years ago. It's called Wow in the World. And today we're very lucky that it's one of the top kids and family podcasts out there. And through Wow in the World, which is essentially a cartoon for the ear, it's a fantasy journey through science, real science in every episode. We decided to start writing books about scientific subjects, but to make them really fun. So we did one on the human body and one on animals. And this one, of course, is about space because space is limitless. It's so inspiring, and kids love learning about space. And so we decided to write a book that can appeal to kids, as young as 5 and all the way to 12, even 13 years old. There's real science in this book, but there's also a lot of fun and jokes and games.
That's what I was going to say. So I was looking through the book, and there are so many amazing fun facts. It's gorgeous. The colors are stunning. And I've noticed there's little cartoons of both of you, and you guys are just I love the bright costumes. You have you're a vibe, and it shows throughout the book. It's pretty neat that the whole thing is about both of you and the Wow in Space, teaching kids through the fun, through the beauty, and learning about all things space and the colors and facts.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really proud of this book. I feel like it's a real extension of our podcast, but for kids who don't even know the podcast, we hope that you check it out.
Yeah.
And then maybe you could find Wow in the World through these books, but you're going to learn something. You're going to laugh a lot. There's lots in here to make you say, wow.
Yeah.
And that's what you do.
Well, and Mindy and Guy, I was wondering, through this book, especially Wow in the World, Wow in Space, what was the one thing that you guys both really, maybe separately, learned that you didn't know about space before?
Well, in my case, I did not know. There's a lot of things I don't know about space, and a lot of things that inspire me about space, like the fact that there are 400 billion planets in our own galaxy.
Yeah.
It's probable that one of them has life on it, But one fact that comes to mind that I really didn't know is that you actually, if you're an astronaut in space, you feel like you need to go pee all the time because gravity moves the fluid in your body all around, and so it just makes you feel like you have to go to the bathroom all the time.
I
True
love
fact.
that. I love it.
And on that note, I would say that it's really fascinating that when you go to outer space, these astronauts on the International Space Station are actually around 2 inches taller in space than they are here on Earth because you don't have gravity kind of compressing your spinal column. So in space, everything kind of spreads out. Even your bones are kind of spreading out there, and then you're a little taller up there. But when you come back down to Earth, you're going to shrink a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, those are both a very interesting factoids, and Mindy, I love that because I'm 6 foot tall, so I'd be 6'2". I think I'll stay on Earth for a little bit. That's amazing. I love these little fun facts. How long did it take you guys to write this book?
Oh,
Books. Yeah. No, go
yeah.
ahead,
I
Megan.
mean, we're working on so many things at the same time, so
Right.
it's hard to say. I don't know, year and a half, something like that. But we're working on lots of things all at the same time. So, but I think the bigger thing is when you finish writing a book, you got to be very patient for it to finally come out.
Right.
So
Yes.
we're that this day is finally here.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like you guys are doing amazing, obviously. Podcasts, books, etc. You both are a vibe. Definitely. I love your energy. I love the look. What is next? What is next for you guys?
Well, we've got, of course, our podcast, Wow in the World, which continues to thrive and grow. We've got some new shows coming out. We've got a children's podcast company, so we make lots of
cool.
different podcasts. And
Very cool.
there may be another book
Ooh.
coming along in the next year or so.
Well, I think that's amazing. I want to throw out there, I think you guys should do fashion as well because I like both of your looks.
I like it.
I can't wait to see all the great things. I will follow both of you, and thank you so much. I love this book. I think I'm gonna have to keep it and read through it. I think it's brilliant. Thank you guys so much.
Amazing. Thank you,
Yeah,
Gretchen.
start with a kid.
Have a great day, guys, and keep it right here. Of course, keep it right here. We have more of the show to come.
Welcome back to the show. Now it's the holiday season, which means it is the winter season. And oftentimes there are accidents and all kinds of things happening. Joining us today to talk about all things how you can be prepared ahead of time is Kelly, the car mom. Kelly, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, first of all, I love the car mom. I love all that you're doing with it. But you are really
Thank
an
you.
expert in all things being prepared ahead of time. So talk to me about how you can be prepared ahead of time and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, as a mom, I definitely try to prepare for every situation, right? Like we have the snacks, we have the extra change of clothes, I have shoes, because that's just important to me as a mother. But vehicle accidents are one of those things that can be difficult to prepare for. And I actually think what's just as important is what happens after the accident. And one of the best ways that family can make sure they're prepared is to make sure they have some really good rental coverage reimbursement on their auto insurance policy. That way, if you get in an accident and your vehicle needs to go to the shop to be repaired, you're not stuck with nothing to drive and you have a car.
That's a big one. You know, a lot of people don't
Yeah.
think about that ahead of time until you're in the moment, and then it can cost a lot more. So talk to me about, why rental reimbursement coverage is important and like exactly how much do you need?
Yeah, and like you said, like a lot of people, it is so important. It's one of those things you don't want to wish that you had. And according to enterprise data, 60% of full coverage auto insurance policyholders don't have this coverage, and a lot of people don't even know it exists. So it's obviously important because as a mom of 3, like I'm not driving a Chevy Tahoe for the gas mileage, right? I'm driving it because it's the car that can fit my kids' car seats, that can fit the double stroller, fit all of our suitcases for this like crazy holiday season. So making sure you have it's important, but also making sure that you have the right level. That way, if we get in an accident, my car has to go to the shop, I'm not stuck with nothing to drive. I'm not missing Christmas. I don't have my mother-in-law calling me and complaining. My life goes on as it would.
and it's so important. Now, we're here in Colorado, so winter driving accidents happen
Right.
all the time. So, is there anything else that we should know to be prepared? Tell me more.
Yeah, so I mean, just enterprise data tells us that 6 out of 10 trips this year are road trips. So you mix more people on the road traveling with winter weather conditions, it is a recipe for an increased risk of accidents. So it is so important to be prepared every step of the way before you leave, like making sure your tires are at the correct PSI, making sure you have a full tank of gas, making sure your vehicle is up to date on any service. If it were to happen, making sure you have those emergency essentials in your car, like a blanket, a phone charger, a bottle of water. And then finally, after the fact, making sure that your family can, not miss a beat this holiday season, get right back on the road, and make sure that you are covered with rental car reimbursement.
Oh, rental car reimbursement. That's one that you probably aren't aware of all the time. So love that you gave that advice, and then love that Enterprise is really actively bringing awareness to this kind of insurance policy. So where can we go for more information if we want to, rent a car or make sure that we know exactly what we're doing?
Yeah, and I think it is so important, because if you are to get in a collision this time of year, vehicle repairs take longer than I think people think. The average repair is about 17 days. So we're not talking about having to pay for a rental car for 1 to 2 days, but up to 2.5 weeks. And that's just a surprise expense that I know a lot of families don't want to have to take on this holiday season. So you can call your insurance agent to find out more about what the policy looks like. You can add it at any time, or you can go to enterprise.com/rental reimbursement.
17 days. That's a lot. And
That's
rental
a long
cars,
time.
yeah, and there are so few rental cars compared to what there used to be out on the road. So definitely make sure that you plan ahead of time. Well, Kelly, we appreciate you. If we want to follow you and the Car Mom and all the advice that you're giving, where can we go for that?
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so I'm the Car Mom. I review cars for moms and families. You can find my vehicle reviews over on YouTube, or you can find me on social, Instagram at the Car Mom, where we just empower women through the car buying process by sharing great tips like this.
And I love what you're doing with the holiday season and the car seat giveaways. So congratulations. That's very exciting stuff. Love that partnership and how you're impacting families. And thank you for the information about Enterprise and how you can be prepared during the winter season.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Well, thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning edition of Wasatch Weekends. I hope you enjoyed the recipe for Christmas Crackle, the TV bookers, and Wow in the World. Next time, we'll see you tomorrow.